Thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
Absolutely.
My pleasure.
After weeping and gnashing of teeth in certain airports that shall go unnamed.
It's life on the road, man.
Oh, you know.
Life on the road.
So I would love to discuss maybe a little life on the road. I bet you got a story or two worth telling.
Some that are not fit for all ages.
Yeah, maybe not coffee talk stories.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I would love to hear, you sound great in trios. You sound great in bands playing with other guitar players and keyboard players. You sound amazing as a sideman playing with other people. And somehow in all of those different contexts, you're able to have your own voice such that it inspires people like me. Like when I hear you play, it's like, that's Dave Grissom, right? And you have your own thing. And it just seems like, especially nowadays where authenticity is such a rare thing. And I hate to say that, but was there like a #1 AI country song?
Yeah.
Right now? And we're living in a time where to be yourself and to be so determined to just plow ahead and forge that path, it's hard, but it's just so much easier to pretend to be something else. And yet you have a career of being your voice, your sound, your tone, everything.
Gosh, there's so much in that. There's so much in that question that we could talk about. It really does encompass so many things. It makes me, I was like thinking of 1,000 things to talk about. But as far as having a sound of my own, it wasn't something that I set out to create.
Really?
I mean, when I started playing guitar at 13 or 14 years old, it wasn't like, I need to find my own sound. All I wanted to do was be able to learn this Beatles song, and then that Stone song, and then this Hendrix song, and then this B.B. King solo, and then, and then Wes Montgomery, and on and on and on and on. So I didn't really set out to make that happen, but I think I was lucky enough to grow up without the internet. And so, if in a town where there wasn't really a music scene happening, I grew up in Kentucky, in Louisville, Kentucky, until I was 17 when I moved away. But, without the internet, like pumping in thousands of hours of incredible musicians all day long and giving you their best 60 seconds, and, for me, it was like, God, if I found one song that resonated with me, it was like this nugget to be studied. Mm-hmm. And that, for me, that at the time, again, because it wasn't like a hotbed of music, there was some cool bluegrass stuff going on. Some blues guys would come through occasionally. There was a famous jazz guitar player that actually at one point played with Charlie Parker named Jimmy Raney, who was from Louisville. This incredible band called NRBQ, some of those guys were from around there, they would play. All the Southern rock bands would come through, and for $5, I would be the first person standing at the door and charge to the front of the stage and stand there for 5 hours with, so I could be there and watch it. So it's all this melting pot of things, I can remember like specific examples of like finding. I can remember the first time I heard Duane Allman. I was riding around in my friend's parents' Ford Thunderbird and FM radio. It's like, what is this stuff? And this there was a station in Louisville at the time called WLRS, and they played. They later became much more narrow focused and commercial, but. This Herbie Mann song came on called Push Push, and it had Duane Allman playing guitar on. I'd never heard him before. This is like, the Allman Brothers were together, but I'd never heard him play before, and I was like, stop the car. It was like one of those moments, and I'm like 16, 15 years old. So, I studied that forever, and then I found this Norman Blake record called Whiskey Before Breakfast that I learned a couple of songs off of it and just continued to this day to try to play that. And so it's like right there, that bluegrass open string thing, That's not the bluegrass. That's one of my songs. But
Yeah.
it's with a lot of with an amp turned up loud. I don't want to blow the camera up.
Blow it up.
I mean, that comes from listening to Norman Blake and Doc Watson. That's where that comes from. And nobody ever said you're gonna, there wasn't this like online blogosphere of people telling you what was cool and what wasn't cool.
Yeah.
And I wasn't surrounded by people that were like, so-and-so's good, so-and-so's not good. And I think it's almost like criminal now that if you're a young guitar player, what you have to endure. Like, I see it so often with young players constantly being told no. Like, in my mantra to them is like, man, if you think it's good, it's good.
You know what? Okay, I'm really glad to hear you say that. And by the way, feel free to shoot me down on this too. I have wondered about myself, and also I have other friends that I would say probably feel similar, maybe even somebody watching. I have never been someone as a musician who's been attracted to learning something note for note, tone for tone. I mean, obviously, if you're going to play 'Cause We've Ended as Lovers, you got to play that head right, because that's the song, right? If you're going to play Europa, you got to play that right. But when it comes time for the solo, or even just like exploring the song, and maybe we'll talk about it here in a second. When you did Crosscut Saw, you did a completely different thing than the Albert King.
Yeah.
I've always felt like, as a musician myself, if someone played something I wrote and I heard it, but they did their thing to it, I would be so honored with that.
That is a fabulous feeling
Yes.
when that happens. But I will say to your point that I would not be able to play Crosscut Saw the way I play it had I not studied the original version and learned
Absolutely.
the piano part.
Oh, really?
I learned learning the piano part.
Is that what kind of informed those triad
Absolutely.
things? Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I can talk through that. And it's very simple, but I can,
Yeah. But before you do, I want to stay on this for a second, because
Okay.
keep going. You're
So, to me, I think to go back and learn. I learned live at the Regal, the B.B. King record, almost note for note. At one point, I knew every note on the record.
Wow.
And I think there is real value in that. In that, from there, you can, as long as you use that as a jumping off point,
and not your identity.
but you're building the foundation of your musical development. The house.
Yeah.
You're building the foundation, and then you can frame it and drywall it and paint it from there. But it did help me to, on some of the stuff, to learn it verbatim and note for note and really strive to get the tone, because the thing about so much of the stuff that I grew up listening to, whether it was B.B. King or Duane Allman or Billy Gibbons or Wes Montgomery or Larry Carlton on a couple of songs or Norman Blake or all these guys, it was like with an acoustic instrument, it's obvious, but on an electric instrument, something I don't see talked about as much is there were so few effects being used back then.
Oh, yeah.
It was all about making the sound with their hands.
Yeah.
And having a relationship with a guitar and an amplifier, and being able to not only play the guitar but play the amp. Mm-hmm. And so by taking those examples that were not really built on effects, I started to develop, understand like, if I press harder, or if I hold the note, and if I play this A here instead of here, it has a different timbre. I started to learn how to create the sound with my hands. And when I do workshops where it's small enough, I walk around I'll play something plugged in loud, mm-hmm. and then I'll walk around the room and let everybody hear me play unplugged. Mm-hmm. And it's usually kind of an eye-opening thing, because it sounds exactly the same as what was coming out mm-hmm. of the amp. And so that process of learning things note for note and really trying to capture the tone I think it's different if you're talking about like a tone that involves 10 effects, daisy chained. All you're doing there is working on some sort of electronic thing. But again, as far as the foundation of the house, the everything starts, you have to make the sound with your hands.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. And I don't know how, I mean, you have to learn other people's stuff to begin with. I do think that there's a point, though, where it's like you got to start looking for the way you sound. You know what I mean?
Well, and I think, and, for instance, like I scroll Instagram like everybody else does now, and I'm like, there are so many slide guitar players that it's obvious who they've listened to.
Yeah.
And that guy's still alive.
Yeah.
And there's only one of him.
Yeah.
And he's the best at that there will ever be. And like some really phenomenal guitar players, I'm just thinking, you gotta bring something else into your playing, or it's just like, the first thing I do is go, is that him or not?
Yeah.
Because it's so close.
Yeah.
But after about 2 or 3 minutes, it's obvious it's not.
So I was at a festival and I came around the corner and I was like, man, those background singers sound amazing. And as I got closer, I realized that's Derek Trucks.
Yeah.
And he was playing just plugged into a super reverb.
Yeah.
And you said something a second ago that I feel like I've been trying to, when I'm at home and I'm just playing, I just plug straight in, no effects. Because what you said a second about getting your hands acclimated to, like, if this is all I got to make this work. I got to start working this volume, which you are like the master of working the volume knob.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So
I don't know if I'm the master of it, but I use
pretty
it
dang
all
good,
the
Dave.
time.
All right.
I mean, my whole tone is built around. My clean tone is turning down to 7.
Yeah. Could you show them that real quick in case somebody's watching this and they're like, I'm not sure what you're talking about.
Yeah. Well.
And maybe like on the Crosscut Saw chords too, we could kind of weave that in there.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of two different things. So.
Okay.
It's very loud in here. My whole approach to tone is an amplifier that when you get the output stage working, like an old Tweed Fender or an old Plexi or an old AC30 there's no master volume. So it's effectively the master's all the way up.
Yeah.
And that's, to me, those are the sounds that allows me to play the amp more. I realize we live in a world now where that's not as easy to get away with. But what I'm trying to do is when I set up an amp is set it up so that when the guitar's turned all the way up and I hit it hard, it will crunch. If I lighten up my touch, it will clean up a little bit. And then if I turn down to 7, it gets noticeably cleaner. So let me see if I can, without blowing up everything in here, let's see.
And the clean sound when you do that is actually, some people I could see would be like, well, then you don't really have a clean sound. It's actually beautiful clean sound.
It's a beautiful clean sound. And what's a common misconception I find is that a lot of the great clean sounds that we all love over the years aren't really super clean.
Yeah.
There's some harmonic content in there. And I've talked to a lot of really good guitar players about that. It's not necessarily like a twin reverb on 2.
Yeah.
There's still some, like, that's why you see certain, there's been several session guys that used AC30s.
Yeah.
Because you can still, when you turn down or you play a Strat or a Tele or just turn this guitar down, it's going to be clean, but it still has some mid-range. The goodness of the guitar, of electric guitar, lives in the mid-range. And that's the way these amps are voiced, is around mid-range. And that's why you can turn the bass really up. Like on an old vintage Marshall now, I have the bass on 0. Or it just gets too muddy. On these amps, we designed the bass to be up in a frequency where you can actually turn it up.
So it's really low mid.
I mean, you hear the low end come in, but I have it like, I'll run it like up to 7,
Okay.
like
Wow.
sometimes, which is like not many other amps will I even think about doing that. I've lost my train of thought, but
You were down in a clean sound with hitting the output stage of the amplifier. pretty
yeah.
hard.
So
Yeah.
we don't have the foot switch here, but you can the way this amp works is there's a boost mode and a normal mode, and it's not an active thing. It's just controlling the attenuation to the input stage. So it's like the upper input of a Marshall is higher gain than the lower input. It's kind of like that. But when I play a gig live, I'm just in boost all night long.
Huh.
I never touch it. But in the studio, it's great to go to the normal mode and then turn the bright switch on. So on this one, unlike the 30, there's a little toggle switch that when I go to the normal mode, the bright switch can come on automatically if you just have it set a certain way, which is super cool.
That is cool.
So let's see where we are. Am I killing you? Is it? So right there, I'm turned all the way up to 10. I'm hitting it hard. Now I can also. Just by lightening up. That's just like, my right hand creating different levels of, I'm playing the amp there. So if I turn down to, like I'm all the way up, if I turn down to like 7 or whatever.
It's a nice kind of jangly rhythm sound.
Yeah, I mean, it's just down, and then of course we have, the So back up to 10 in the coil tap. And then those sounds like that.
What was that little trick you did there with the lead?
If you're sharp, always pull on the string before you hit the tuner.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So my 10-second tuning tips.
10-second tuning tip.
Tune on the neck pickup.
Okay.
If you're using a tuner.
How come? Just
because you're going to get less harmonic fluctuation.
Okay.
It's going to be a pure signal going to the tuner. Go to the neck
okay.
pickup.
Yep.
If you're sharp, tug on the string a little bit because chances are it might have gotten slightly bound in the nut.
Yeah.
And then tune from there. And those are the two most important things.
Man, you did that quick, like you were like doing that revolver thing. You know what I mean? Really quick.
Yeah. Well, you have to do live. You have to do that. We just pulled this guitar off the wall.
Yeah.
And I've played it for as long.
Didn't even tune it for him. Man, flew all the way here for all kinds of weather. Just hand him a guitar. Go.
So right there, I mean, you see just like the combination of being able to turn down, like the difference, if I'm here in humbucking mode, I turn down to 7. Now if I turn back up to 10 and put it in the coil tap, a little lighter. Just like that's 3 different tones right there. So it's like channel switching amps to me are always a compromise. You get, for me personally, the high gain is too gainy, the clean is too clean. And so this is how I have sort of developed. Again, being in tune, it's like there's just no pedal that makes you sound like Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Right.
New Stevie, I've stood next to him playing many times, and you cannot, there's no pedal that, or Albert King. You have to use your middle finger.
So you're playing A minor pentatonic, right? And you're plucking with your middle finger.
My middle finger. Yeah, but you pop it. So. And you mix it up with the pick.
Yeah.
That's like super loud. That's turned all the way up, and I know I don't want to play that loud in here for long, but that's, you can hear it with.
So maybe somebody's watching this right now and they're like, man, that just seems really hard to be thinking about the pickups and the volume knob and everything else. And like, how would you advise them? For step one, maybe is it just to crank your amp up and then find that clean and then kind of start going back and forth?
If you want, it depends on, I think the first thing, just the main thing is to understand that you really have to make the sound with your hands. Like that's, if you can just get that concept and realize these are just microphones. They're like, they're just picking up what you're playing. They're not like, it doesn't matter what pickups are on here, they're going to reproduce the sound that you're creating. So that concept in itself right there, I think a lot of people are not taught or don't think about that. And then, for me, the approach that works for me is if I play hard and I just hit and have the guitar all the way up. So that's like, I would probably dial in a little more grit than if I really.
And that's, by the way, you've got a little bit of delay going.
Yeah, there's no pedals.
Yeah, that's just the amp.
I'll turn the delay off. You see right there, that's Pete Townsend.
Yeah.
Not only but the whammy bar.
That's a chorus pedal.
So that's another influence that, I love the Who.
Yeah.
Not everything, but man, so I'm always doing that little subtle shimmer on chords, and that's directly from Pete Townsend. And the voicings that he used with no thirds a lot. So,
I'm glad you brought that up, because What Passes for Love, and also that Crosscut Saw thing too. A lot of times your chords sound huge, but they're actually like smaller chords.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could you talk about that?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes, when I first started playing, I was using bar chords. Like most people, when they learn to play guitar, you're playing all 6 strings, and it's like that was my A chord.
Bill Bay. Yeah.
So just over time from listening to, Townsend, AC/DC a little bit, Malcolm Young's chord voicings, I started to incorporate chords that did not have thirds in them. And what I found was that the tuning was way better. It allowed me to, on songs that I was writing and playing, it would allow me to improvise in such a way where I could play the major or the minor third in my solos. Keyboard players, sometimes it takes a couple of gigs before they stop being mad at me. I'll write it on the page. A, no third.
Yeah.
It's not major and it's not minor. It's going to imply a tonality, but in the whole, we could talk for hours about scales, but to me, I kind of think in one scale, which is what I call the Americana scale, which includes the minor and the major third, and the natural and the flat 7, depending on where you are in the chord changes.
Okay, I want to come back.
Okay, we can come back.
But real quick side quest.
Yeah.
I feel like, it's funny you say this, because one of the things we talk about all the time, one of the things that's unique unto American music, which is the blend of blues, country, rock and roll, all this stuff, is that the tonal center a lot of times is a dominant 7, and actually it's the dominant 7 with the flat 9, so it's the major third and the minor third coexisting together, like Chuck Berry, or Keep Your Hands to Yourself. Yeah. You're in the key of A, and all of a sudden that solo comes in, and it's that, in a way you go. You know what I mean?
And to me, it's the in-between notes that give it more of a singer-like quality, like in A.
See, what are you doing right there? That's cool. It sounds cooler when you do it. And so you're bending from that minor third to that major third right there, but keeping the A going.
But I'm not going all the way up to the major third.
Oh, just kind of ish.
When in doubt, go a little flat. Never sharp.
So the Americana scale.
Yeah.
I love that.
So like if you're playing a blues, people get so confused about like scales and everything. I mean, is it major or is it minor? You know, and if it's like in a typical 12-bar blues, I never thought like, okay, on the 1 I'm going to play, if it's in A, I'm going to play an A Mixolydian mode. And then when it goes to the D, the 4, I'm going to play a D Mixolydian mode. I just play in A. And there are key notes that you change, like when, if I'm like... That's right. All I'm really, the sort of the keynote that indicates that you're changing the chord is to go from the major third to the flat 3. All the other notes stay the same. And then when you go to the 5 chord, instead of playing the flat 7, the major 7 is the 3 of the 5. And I know that sounds super complicated, but I'm just changing that one note on occasion. But even there on the 5 chord, if I'm in the key of A, the 5 is the... I'm gonna... Don't play it. Just play a straight. That.
You're thinking this kind of Americana
it's just
scale
like
where
one note, like
yeah.
really is that all you have to change. And so really on a progression like that, if I'm really going to analyze it, I'm going to say, well, I'm thinking A Mixolydian, which is a fancy way of saying a major scale, but you take the 7 and flat that note. And so when you know that, that's what I'm playing off of. And by practicing scales enough, I don't really have to think about it. You develop this muscle memory, and when it goes to the 4 and the 5, there's just some key. There's just like really one note that you, like over the 5 chord, you don't really want to hammer on the flat 3,
right?
Or on the 4 chord. I mean, you use it as a passing tone. But you don't want to sit there. If it's a blues thing, unless you're playing Girl from Ipanema or a jazz standard or something like that. So it's a simplification thing, but it only becomes simple because I did the work and learned some basic theory and going back to, I think, what the original question of this segment was, your chord voicings.
Yes.
So developing these chords without thirds. And so, yes, quite often, using fewer strings can yield a bigger sound. And, whether it's what we call shell chords, where you'll skip a string and like you'll play a bass note on the 6th string, like for an A7, instead of going, I'll play. Right. And so, if we had another couple of hours, I would say that this right here, the thumb, is, I couldn't play half of what I play without using my thumb to fret notes and to mute.
I got you. Instead of doing this.
Instead of doing this, I would never do that.
Gotcha. Okay.
I'm always going to do this. And then when I go to the 4 chord, I might go.
So what you got here is you've got the flat 7 in the major 3rd here, and you're hitting the roots with your thumb. And then when you go to this, you've got the 1 and the third, and the 3rd, and then the 5th, the bass.
I'm just got the 5th and the bass. I'm keeping the A and the bass.
And then this little, like, are you thinking of this as like the
sus.
2 or a sus? Okay. And then you came back here to the C for a second. And then what was that? Oh,
D over F sharp.
So you're thinking, are you thinking of that as like a C? Like,
Think of that as a D over F sharp.
I mean, the one right before that though.
That's a C.
Yeah, and then to the D over F sharp. Yeah, that's cool. Are you sliding into this?
Yeah, but so I'm really playing a major blues, but there, I've got the minor 3rd in there too. So these rules are breakable. So you could, if you really wanted to keep it major. But to me, it's just bluesier. So that right there, I'm playing in the key of D. So I'm not really. If I start on A.
Yeah. That's cool.
So I am using a 3rd there on that A7, but because I'm not going, it's going to be, it's just, with the,
that's awesome.
So, 9 times out of 10 when I'm playing an A chord, not 9 times out of 10, it depends on the tune and in the context. But, for when I was working with Joe Ely, that was the first time I got a PRS and a Marshall. And it was a trio basically with Joe up front. And so I was looking for ways to make the sound bigger. So I ended up. And so I ended up dropping 3rds, and I play a lot of chords that just have 1 and 5 repeated, which is totally a Townsend thing or a Malcolm Young thing. So my A, the whole chord is A and E repeated.
Yeah, and that's good for major or minor then.
It'll work on, you can do it in a major tonality, and this, so. And then from there, I learned that you could just take these simple voicing. If you want to come up with a part that's just like, okay, the song has, I get stuff all the time, people send me to play on, it's got 8 bars of 1. We want it to sound like Keith Urban, and then they'll send me a track that's like 20 beats per minute faster, and the band of badasses in the studio worked up all these things, and all I have is 8th notes for 8 bars, and I have to come up with stuff. So with a simple voicing like this, you can just. the chords, like in my like an E chord.
Playing that guy, well, this guy here, but also, yeah. I have to say also, like, when you were doing that A thing just a second ago,
Yeah.
I've played that chord 100,000 times, but don't sound the way that it sounds when you play it. So much of your touch is
It's
and
hands.
and you were talking about, and it's funny, there was an old Eric Johnson VHS that I had that was his, where he like spends like 30 minutes talking about his pick and how he holds it and stuff.
Yeah.
And I remember watching that, and I was a kid, and I remember thinking, wow, so the way you touch a string is a big deal.
Yeah.
You know?
It is.
I feel like that's something that has been slightly lost, you know, with...
Like more than slightly lost.
I was trying to be nice.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, and another thing is like, to make this happen, you know, to start, I always like try to, I think about like, I never taught up until, you know, a few years ago, 10
Really?
years ago,
Like,
whatever.
you never taught guitar?
I didn't grow up teaching guitar.
You're a great teacher.
Well,
That
thank you
comes
very
natural.
much. You're
Yeah.
very kind. But, you know, I made an instructional video, and then I wrote a book, and then I made some more videos, and I had to start thinking about what I do and how do I convey that. And it was really, really hard at first. But I think I've thought about it so much that, you know, like some really basic things, like before I even, if you're just now starting to play guitar, or even if you've been playing for a while, it may be helpful in terms of this concept of being able to vary your dynamics and change the tone. I always like to start with my hands in a position of strength. I want to be able to have the best chance at playing with authority and with finesse too. So for me, what that means is my right hand kind of rests a little bit, the palm of it rests on the bridge just slightly, so that I can mute at will, my, you know, right hand muting. And then my left hand, a key thing for me is I am not this guy.
Really?
No.
Oh, man.
There's no strength there.
Okay.
There's no strength whatsoever. And now, I will play licks where
And you're talking about having your thumb below.
talking about having the thumb, the classical, traditional classical position does not help anyone when it comes to bending strings or to playing notes here or to muting notes here. And so, just the most obvious thing for me is this is a fulcrum for when I want to get good vibrato.
When you're playing something like that, your thumb kind of naturally wants to come over anyway, right?
Right. But it also, that's the starting point for this concept.
Okay.
The other thing is just being able to play chords that I wouldn't normally be able to play. Like, you know, again, like all these voicings. If I'm playing a note on the sixth string within a chord, I'm almost always playing it with my thumb. And I use solo using that principle quite a bit too. And it allows me to do things that I could do no other way. Like I can alternate notes. You know, I mean, I couldn't play any. I can do it without there, but what happens when you go to the A? Got to have the thumb there. Not only to play the note, but to mute the A string. Because, somebody calls the tune an A flat or B flat, or they're tuned a half step down and you're in standard. So, you know, A flat. Not a problem at all.
So you got your thumb on this A flat and you're... That takes a little work for me to get that thumb engaged.
If it was easy, everybody would be doing it. But also, like if I'm playing an A flat,
right.
The biggest part of it is I'm muting the A string.
Yeah.
And so I'm not limited to any key that I can play in. And like this song. The strings are warming up. So I tugged on it to make it. That F chord, that's my F chord.
I know. So that's like this F add 9 with two G's.
That's an F add 9 with 2 added 9s.
Yeah.
But I'm muting the A string. So if I have a lot of overdrive. So right there, within that lick right there, I'm varying the pick pressure to let some notes be cleaner than others. And it's like a subliminal thing. It's like, I don't know that you can really practice that. It's just like gig after gig, thousands of gigs and sessions and everything. You sort of, and then if you're singing while you're doing it, you're super conscious of dynamics and where you need to come down and where you need to come up because you're singing and you don't want, I don't want to be that guy that plays too loud over the singer when I'm singing, especially. But the thumb, I couldn't play half of what I play. I mean, I literally couldn't play certainly half of what you say. I can tell it's you when you're playing if I didn't use my thumb like that.
Was that a Hendrix kind of thing? Or of course, you didn't have the internet, to get that off.
Nobody ever taught that. Ever. No one ever taught me that. I just figured it out on my own. And now, I think it started with I just wanted to sound like B.B. King and Albert King. And the only way I could get the vibrato right was to grab the neck like I squeeze the neck,
So what do you do if you're trying to make a chord voicing that's like a really rich chord and you're like your thumb is hurting? Does your thumb kind of go back behind the neck then to find that place?
It depends on the voicing. And like if I was going to play like a riff. Like on those licks like that where I'm spreading. I couldn't do it like that, and there's no point in it because I'm playing the notes.
So your thumb does move when it has to in the big spreads.
It does. It's not like you have to have it here all the time.
Yeah.
But it goes back to that thing of just being able, putting your hands in a place to play from a place of strength, and once you sort of start thinking about that, and then you actually your hands get stronger, and then you can start playing the amplifier as well as the guitar. If you have the right amp that will respond. Yeah. That will respond to touch.
That's awesome. Man, I learned a ton just now. I mean, the tuning nugget was worth it alone.
Yeah, we didn't even get to Crosscut Saw.
Well, here, maybe you can play us out with those chords and just real quick. So you got to go listen to that. The one that is in my head is the one from that 2020, the live when you're playing in a trio, right? And it's an A, right?
Yeah.
And you got like this kind of thing. Are you playing it like that?
No.
Okay, neither.
Okay, so this goes back to the whole idea of learning the original. Yes. So the cool version of Crosscut Saw that we all love is the rumba version, Albert King, and it's it's like that's what the piano player is doing. Like a rumba. It's like a rumba feel. So to me, you could think of this 1,000 different ways, but to me that's G over A.
Yeah.
To A.
Yeah.
And then when it goes to the fourth chord, it's or however you want to think about it.
So you're going.
This is the original version, though.
Okay, gotcha.
So I learned, and it's basically just suspensions through all the changes. And when it gets to the 5 chord, Just think of it like, you know, think of it like, first of all, to make it simple.
Yeah, so it's all
There's more
sus
to
four.
it than that.
Yeah, yeah.
Think of it as suspensions to get your mind thinking in those terms.
Yeah, okay.
But the piano player is playing G over A. So what I just did was I changed the feel a little bit. Oh, I have to turn the delay on. So I changed the voicings to.
So it's
that's what I'm playing. Yeah.
That's cool.
But not that. Don't play the third.
Don't play the third.
No.
So am I playing?
When you go back to the A, don't play the
Oh.
play the C sharp. So let me show you the why. Because the way I'm playing the lick is.
Maybe that G moment in there. Yeah. Hey, there's that thing again. That's cool.
So right there, instead of just playing a straight G triad, I played, which would really be like G add 9. You could think of it that way, or you could think of it, I mean, you could think of it as a D sus. It's a suspension.
Yeah.
And the suspensions are created by adding the 4 or the 2, and sometimes the flat 7 will imply a suspension, be included in the suspension. It's just a different voicing, but because I learned the original piano part, I took it from a little bit more of a happy kind of thing into a little moodier vibe.
Smoldering.
Smoldering, yeah.
There you go.
The embers develop. It takes a long time to get the embers just right.
Oh, if you're going to do it right. Yeah.
And then I put a dotted 8th note thing. I don't know if it's timed right now.
Oh, that's cool. So now there's the third.
On the 4 chord.
Yeah, on the 4 chord, yeah.
But so is here.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm going to be using those left and right now.
Yeah. Those are like gospel church chords. You
Yes.
know? I mean, those spread voicings like that, that's very gospel, very, church.
I think the
So.
most gospel-y chord is the 1/5.
That's very gospel-y.
Yes.
Yeah, very, very much so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here, and just thank you for sharing all that. And you're an amazing player, and you really are a great teacher. I know you said you didn't think so, or you didn't think you deserve that, but you do. You really, because I think when you meet somebody that understands the material, that's awesome. But when you meet somebody that understands it, and then it has a compassionate heart to share, to make sure that the listener is receiving it, that's when you're a great teacher, and that's what you are.
Well, thank you very much. And
Absolutely.
Thanks very much. I mean, at this point, anything I know is fair game, and if I can help inspire somebody, one person in the room, it's an honor to be able to do that, and also to just kind of talk about we think it's everything on the floor, that's going to make the sound. Just to talk about the concept of getting back, and I wish more people had the opportunity to play through a good tube amp, and find a guitar that you like, get a relationship with that guitar, and then until you've had the experience of playing through an amp turned up a little bit,
Nothing's
to
better
where
than a good tube
where
amp.
you can
Yep.
play the amplifier. That's something that seems to be fading off into the distance. And
Not on my watch, brother.
well, I appreciate that,
Yeah.
and I would like to do my part to keep it around too.
Absolutely. We have a saying around here, we are living life the best we can with the guitar in our hand.
There you go.
Hey, thanks for the privilege of your time. We appreciate you watching. Hit that subscribe button. Put a comment in there for old Dave and let him know that you're grateful that he jumped on Chords and Coffee.
Fresh out of the shower.
That's right. Freshly clean Dave. Thanks for being here, brother. God bless you.
God bless you.
Thank you.